have a couple of questions and one from my colleague at VOA.
Sure.
My first question is, the administration's response as hundreds of nurses with the National Nurses United held demonstrations demanding for safer COVID conditions, and they talked about there's not necessarily a shortage of nurses, but many are not willing to work in what they feel like are unsafe conditions and feel like some of the protections are being weakened.
Well, I would say first that we believe there should be strict and stringent requirements in medical and in hospitals and medical facilities to keep the people who are working there safe and also to keep the patients safe. And I would just note that yesterday the Supreme Court continued to is allowing for the CMS requirement to move forward, which is an important component of keeping people who are patients safe, but also keeping workers in a lot of facilities safe. A number of hospital systems across the country have implemented vaccine requirements, which we certainly support, and they've been very successful. So we continue to encourage others to do the same.
With MLD coming, is there anything that we can expect to hear from the president? Any type of new strategy, any plan, and what is he going to be doing on that day?
I expect we'll have more details. I certainly understand the interest. We're dealing with Mother Nature here with the storm, and so we are adjusting and making some plans for how he will commemorate a very important day in our history. But I expect we'll have more details for that hopefully in the next 24 hours.
From VOA, just a quick question. Confirmation on that the U.S. has information that indicates Russia has pre-positioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine, as reported by CNN.
Yeah, I do have some detail on this. Let me confirm for you. So as you all have heard us say many times, we are concerned that the Russian government is preparing for an invasion in Ukraine that may result in widespread human rights violations and war crimes should diplomacy fail to meet their objectives. As part of its plans, Russia is laying the groundwork to have the option of fabricating a pretext for invasion. And we've seen this before. We saw this before leading up to 2014, just to note, including through sabotage activities and information operations, by accusing Ukraine of preparing an imminent attack against Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, and the Russian military plans to begin these activities several weeks before a military invasion, which could begin between mid-January and mid-February. Again, we saw this playbook before, including the widespread effort to push out misinformation, not just in Eastern Europe, but around the global community. We have information that indicates Russia has already pre-positioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in Eastern Ukraine. The operatives are trained in urban warfare and in using explosives to carry out acts of sabotage against Russia's own proxy forces. Our information also indicates that Russian influence actors are already starting to fabricate Ukrainian provocations in state and social media to justify a Russian intervention and sow divisions in Ukraine. For example, Russian officials and influence actors are emphasizing narratives about the deterioration of human rights in Ukraine and the increased militancy of Ukrainian leaders. This is all the spreading of misinformation. These media narratives also blame the West for escalating tension, highlight humanitarian issues in Ukraine that Russian intervention could solve, and promote Russian patriotism to encourage domestic support for military action. And finally, during December, Russian language content on social media covering all three of these narratives increased to an average of nearly 3,500 posts per day, a 200% increase from the daily average in November. So it's important to note what people are seeing out there and to call out this misinformation that is being spread to as a false flag operation. And there's a number of tactics that they're using in that regard.